All right, so we're right about that time. So why don't we get started? I'm going to put a face with a name. So if you guys can all see me. A little bit of history of myself. I'm Andrew Bermudez. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Digsy. Prior to Digsy, I was, my early years, I was a programmer. Then I went into commercial real estate sales. Did very well there. I was an office and flex R&D broker. I did tenant rep work to start, and then I did listing and tenant rep work to start at a company called Lee & Associates. So a lot of the things that we've done is in transitioning from Lee & Associates to building a sales enablement software platform, we've learned a lot, especially because we do what you guys do. So we market and cold call a lot. We try different channels like social media, email marketing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how we get you guys to attend this webinar, and that's how we get customers to sign up for our software. This is not going to be a pitch for our product. What we're going to show you is we're going to show you principles and statistics out there and things that we found in cold calling that are effective, so that way you can save some time in the things that are not yielding you results and do more of the things that are, so you can make more money. Also, if your boss is trying to, or actually always asking you for reporting in your CRM and things like that, we're going to show you ways to automate that so you can focus more on selling rather than having to deal with that stuff. So with that being said, I am going to kind of jump on what we've got. We've got actually a great audience. We've got about 300, I think we're like a dozen or so off people who registered for this webinar, so it'll be a good one. Throughout the process, there is a chat box on your GoToWebinar screen. Make sure to add some questions in there, because what I'm going to do is throughout the presentation, I'm going to address answers to those questions. If I cannot address and tie it into the presentation, what I will be doing is I will be answering those questions in the Q&A, which will come after the presentation here. So with that being said, we're going to get started. And let me go ahead and turn off my camera. And we're going to go into presentation mode here. Alrighty. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to show you 7 cold calling tips and tricks to book more meetings. And we're going to do this based on data and things that we found out from our clients, users, and customers, and things that are just, out there, but most people don't know about. The number one thing in business, life, and sales is to just keep it simple. Be simple. Being simple allows you to remove the complexities of life. And what it allows you to do is be more efficient, be happier, be joyful, and that lets you be more productive. So this is a great quote that I found many years ago, and I read it every day. Be as simple as you can be. You will be astonished to see how uncomplicated in your life can become. And that's what we strive for here at our organization, and we hope that you will too, because trust me, it's wonderful. Just an overview of what we're going to go over. Best and worst times to cold call, how to prioritize those calls, how to reduce time, data entry while cold calling so you can spend more time making money and waste less time on things that don't matter. We're going to make sure that you know how to talk to the right prospects, how to breeze through follow-up calls. There's an interesting metric out there. Actually, most salespeople, over about 50% of them or more, actually give up after one call, and a majority give up after the second call. So we're going to show you how to rock that and use that to your advantage. Then we're going to share with you strategies on how to win the business and some tips if you're not into cold calling, how you can still make it in sales. So a couple of statistics is that across the board, and this is true in commercial real estate and insurance, everything else, salespeople waste 19% of the week gathering and finding information so that they can do their job. Then another 20% of their week is spent on CRM management, admin tasks, and reporting, and I can already tell there's a lot of people behind the screen saying, yeah, that's right. So what this means is that all of this, about 40% of your time that you're wasting, you're sacrificing thousands of sales calls, which yields hundreds of appointments and many, many deals to come because you're spending time on those tasks. And then the other thing is that 80% of sales are actually made on the 5th or 12th contact. So that means that you have to free up enough time to be able to follow up with the prospects that you're already touching. So best times to cold call. actually, the research shows that Wednesdays and Thursdays are almost 50% better to call than the worst day. Usually Mondays are pretty tough, Fridays are pretty tough, mostly in the beginning of the day on Monday, and then after 1 p.m. you can do calls, and then on Fridays anytime after 11 or 12, it's just you might as well just go home. So that's good news for you in sales. You can actually take off and not feel guilty. Best times are actually 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Believe it or not, and this holds true actually in our organization as well. We get a hold of a lot of people, salespeople, decision maker, district managers, sales managers around that time. And then in between, we spend our time doing admin work, collateral, and different things that we can tend to. For people in commercial real estate, it would be sending proposals, or if you're in a different industry, it might be putting together a quote. Those are the best times in between. And then to go back on the phone, usually between 4 and 6 p.m., it's significantly better, up 114% over the worst block of time. Worst time to call, obviously, are 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So work on your admin work, proposals, anything else you got to do within that time. Feel good about the fact that now you do have time. If you're cold calling between that 11 to 2 p.m. block, you might as well just be burning cash, because you're not going to make any. And I mean that really. Always have $1 on your desk and look at it anytime you're going to do anything to remind you, how am I going to spend this dollar? Because every minute in sales that you are doing something, you're either burning cash or you're making cash. Here's the research to back this up. So what you can see here is actually on the bottom row is times of day, so meaning what time of day, so 7 to 8 a.m. and then 6 to 7 p.m. on the far right. And you can see 4 to 6 p.m. is a great time, and so is 8 to 9 a.m. Now, how do we prioritize calls for sales success? So one thing that we can do is we can look at the research, right? And at the same time, you should always have a target list of the people you want to call. Do not spend time just going through your database and just calling random people. You have to be very strategic. You have to think about, what's my ideal customer? So what size, employee size, square footage size, what size of revenue, or revenue range, etc. And who is most likely to say yes in the shortest period of time. So is their lease expiring? Did they just acquire a company, or did they just get acquired? Or do they have a lot of job listings on the internet, so you can look on Indeed? That means they're growing. So look at signals, analyze your ideal prospect profile, and identify all of the things that would signal to you that they would need your service. So if you're in commercial real estate, for example, when people are hiring, they're going to need more space. So you can actually just quickly go into all of these job forums, monitor Indeed, and see who in your area is hiring the most. Give them a call. That's one thing. Lease expirations, if you can get that, that's great. Other things that you can look for example, is news. You can actually create a Google News alert and things like that. Once you set that up, and we can have another class on how to prioritize these calls. I want to show you how to actually execute once you have that data. And then we're doing this post research. Once you know what your hit list is, the easiest thing to do is to know who is going to be receptive to your message. For example, you can select multiple prospects, send them an email, and you can do that through a combination of Outlook and Excel. You can do that through different things like MailChimp. You can do that through third-party tools if you don't have that. And then is to check for the reply and open engagement. Because even if they're not responding to you, if somebody has opened your email 3 times or more, what our data shows is that these people are highly engaged. And for us, for example, we convert these people to paying customers north of 50%, which is fantastic. So that allows you to, let's say you have 100 calls to make, you send 100 personalized emails, no graphics, nothing like that, make it look like it came from your Outlook or your Gmail, and then see who's engaged with your content and then give them a call. So how do we do that? It's pretty easy. So we've actually built this into Digsy AI ourselves, and like I mentioned, you guys can do this using a combination of tools. We just basically bake it in onto an all-one platform. You can select multiple contacts, as you can see on the left-hand screenshot. You can click the send email, and by the way, this syncs forwards and backwards, so two ways between your Outlook or Gmail, and vice versa. Anything that you send from your Gmail is automatically in Digsy AI. Anything in Digsy AI is automatic in your Gmail. And then what Digsy AI will do is analyze all that data and tell you who's interested so you can quickly make calls. So I'm going to show you that right now, and just to give you an idea on how you can do this with MailChimp and different systems. Now, we look right here. For example, I've got Nick right there, but if I have somebody, multiple people unattempted, for example, right here, I can click multiple people, I can click send email, and then I've put together templates with brochures and attachments, and then I can say, okay, I'm going to follow up with these people. It automatically will pre-fill their first name, last name, and then when I click send, what it's going to do is it's going to send an email to all these people. And I can schedule a call with all of these 50 or 20 recipients in one click so that I can make sure to follow up. But I don't want to follow up with 20 people. I'm just going to send the email. Then what the system's going to do is you see this little tab up here where it says Engage Prospects. If you're using MailChimp or you're using different email tracking software, you just go into your analytics. But what we do is we do front and center so that the system tells you who to follow up with. Like I mentioned, highly engaged is 3 times or more, so the system automatically tells you all of these people are likely to buy. For example, John, Tom, all of these guys here. In fact, a lot of these I'm actually doing deals with right now. And then mildly engaged, which still converts to paid, but at a much lesser rate, about 50% less, it's telling me to call Leaf. So that's one thing that you can do in Engage Prospect. So what I do is I send an email, and then quickly I see who my engaged people are, and I can quickly make phone calls from here. Or I can email them as well. So I can email them here. If I want to see more information on somebody, I can click here. And then what the system will do is I can quickly say, okay, I'm going to follow up tomorrow with them. So that's easy. I can tag them and say hot leads. That groups them. And then I can see all of my email communication with these people that I've had over time, and it automatically pulls all my data from all my email. I don't have to log it. Like in most systems where you enter the data and then it's a blank record, this system's actually connecting to all your different databases and pulling everything from email communications you've ever had with that person to property information to let's say you have a third-party database source or your proprietary database source. It'll pre-fill all the information that's relevant to you so that you have that information right front and center. That way you don't have to spend that 19% of the time researching. So that's one thing there. So hopefully if you have any questions, feel free to email me if you're not using Digsy AI. I'd be happy to turn you to some resources that might help you out with that. So another thing too is once you identify those people, you have to call, right? So being able to make a phone call and being able to log them, that takes a lot of time and energy. That's where that 20% of CRM management and all that stuff, and you kind of want to do it, but it just takes a lot of time and effort. So for example, making a call and then doing the prep work of getting all the data from different sources to make that call and then logging the activity, that makes each phone call approximately 7.5 minutes. And that's on average, even if you don't leave voicemail or you don't talk to the person. So on average, each phone call you make is 7.5 minutes, which means you can only make 8 calls an hour. And I'll go over statistics on that. So you have to be very efficient. So one thing that we suggest you do is that you use something, if you have a CRM like Salesforce, you get something like Ring Central or something that hooks into your CRM that allows you to speed dial the call, ideally from your cell phone number, ideally from your landline number, not a third-party number. That way clients and prospects are most likely to pick up your call because they recognize your number. So try to do that. And then quickly find software and services that automatically log that call for you. So that way you call, you don't leave a voicemail, I'll go into that in a minute, but you call, then all of a sudden when you hang up, everything's documented for you and you move on to the next call. So you can do that and quickly sift through your hot leads and engage leads. So the way we do it here at Digsy AI, just to give you an idea so that you know what tools to look for, is I'm going to find somebody on my prospects here. So for example, I've got Nick. So I go into Nick, and then I see his email address. I can shoot him an email really quick. So I can go here and just say, Nick, I'll go calling you now. Just do a happy face because I work with Nick. I can add an attachment. So I'll add an attachment of a business card, and I'll send it to him. And I want to talk to him about this business card. And I can say I want to follow up with Nick tomorrow, so it'll remind me tomorrow to do that. And I'll log the activity. Boom, that's it. Now I want to call him to make sure he got that email, or maybe it's an engaged prospect. Digsy AI with 2 clicks integrates with your cell phone and your landline, so you don't have to switch services or have a headset. You want to make sure that ideally, whatever CRM you're using, that you find something like this, because when you call from here, the recipient of your call is going to see your caller ID. That's very important, so they'll pick up. So for example, I'm going to call here, and then what's going to happen is my phone's going to ring. When I pick up, notice that I already I'm able to take notes while the call is happening. The call is being measured, and then the call's dialing.
Hello?
Hey, Nick, how are you?
Pretty good, how you doing?
Good, man. Hey, I just sent you an email with an attachment. Can you take a look at it and reply back to me, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
No problem.
Bye, man.
Bye.
All right, notice that when I hang up, the system automatically picks up how long the call was. He was in the inbox because I haven't touched it. It automatically moves him to the pipeline to attempted. I know that I talked to him and I say, hey, look, he's looking at the information, so I will say he's in contracts. Does the best to figure out whether they answer, you left voicemail or no answer, and then my follow-up's already scheduled for tomorrow. And what I can do is can log the activity here. Now, an important thing is that you're able to do that because the reason why Nick picked up the phone is because he knew it was me. So there are great softwares out there. I'm not sure if any of these are actually do this, but you can do some research if you're using Salesforce or Act or different tools. There are dialers. So you can actually use, you can see if RingCentral or any of these third-party services allow you to dial, speed dial from your cell phone like I just did, or your landline. That way you don't have to switch services or have a headset. It makes it convenient for you, but also that. And keep in mind that make sure that the information that you have or the system that you have is responsive. What responsive means is that if you're working from a cell phone, the screen adjusts so you can work from your cell phone. So if I'm working from my iPhone and my Android, I'm able to do the same thing. I'm able to send emails very quickly, right? And I'm able to do all of that stuff. And I can see if I got an email from Nick, or I send in an email, it's below. And let me show you one thing. So there's actually full sync on this. If you have something, the ideal thing to save you time is to have full sync. So for example, that email I sent through Digsy is actually in my sent items right there. And there's the attachment, comes in as an attachment. And then Nick said, thanks for the call. Let's go back to Nick's record here, and let's go ahead and just refresh the screen. And there it is. Thanks for the call. That I didn't have to do manual data entry. And there's the email I sent them earlier. And there's the call I made in between. So make sure this is all stuff that saves you a lot of time. So make sure that that you're able to do that. Now I want to check something really quick. Can you guys hear me okay right now? Okay, perfect. All righty. So I'm going to move forward with the rest of this presentation here. So I'm showing you this so that you can kind of, if you already have a CRM investment or a prospecting tool investment, etc., these are things that allow you to identify your hot prospects, make it really quick to touch those prospects, and log the activities and calls so you can move forward. It's all about moving forward very quickly. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to move through this. So for example, in the data entry, I've shown you that, hey, does the outcome, the calls, all of that stuff. Now, what do you say when you call a prospect, right? How do you get them to open up with you or to you? A good thing that I don't have on here is ask questions. So a lot of people like to call and pitch. What we've learned over the years is that you are a solution provider. The best thing to do is ask questions. If I'm in commercial real estate, hey, do you need space? No, it's not going to work. Two things that work out of the gate are go on LinkedIn. You know who your prospect is. Go on LinkedIn and see how you're connected with them. If a past client's connected to them, or somebody else is connected to them, great. Have them send them an email and see if they can connect you, and provide a compelling reason why, so that they're encouraged or they feel good about referring you. That alone allows you to have that person to be 4 times most likely to purchase for you. So that's actually a sales statistic. Now, another way to do warm call openers would be just check the news or check different sources, or if you know how many buildings they own, etc. Just call them up and say, hey, I noticed that you own 4 buildings in this area right here. Just wanted to see, you know, if you have any plans. I've got a guy coming out from a 1031 exchange, or I've got a tenant moving in, etc., etc., etc. So just do a warm call to get them to open up, and then you can start asking questions like, hey, so, you know, what are some of the challenges you're having with your properties right now? Then you might uncover that they have property management issues. So if you provide property management and you're a full-service brokerage, great, that's a good opportunity for you, etc. But always ask questions. You're finding a reason to call, you're doing your research, and then you're asking your network for referrals. And if you guys have questions on this, please go ahead and ask them, and I'll be happy to expand during Q&A. Breezing through follow-ups is very important. Like we mentioned, most salespeople, almost 50% of them don't follow up after 1 call, and it's important because it takes between 5 to 8 contacts to turn somebody into a client. So being able to do that quickly and being able to do it on your mobile phone is very, very important. So one thing that you want to look for in your software, or maybe you can create this even in your workflow, maybe you can do a little bit of programming if you're using Excel through templates and things like that, but whatever can help you speed up, that will help you touch more people so that you can generate more clients. And the way that we do it here is, for example, in the morning, Digsy AI sends me an email saying how many follow-ups I have to do today, and it sends me that email at 5:58 a.m. So I can quickly go here and click, and it'll bring me to the contact record. And before I reach out, let's say I'm on an iPhone, right? My smartphone, this shrinks to my iPhone, so that way I can work from my smartphone here. And I can quickly see if she's replied to my last email, and I see that she has. Okay, great. So I got the invoice that I was looking for. Fantastic. So I can email her back saying thank you or that. And now I don't have to reach out to her. I can just say, you know what, I want to follow up next week with her just to see how that invoice went, if it's paid. And then if I go to my follow-ups page, I can click here and look for things that automate your steps. For example, I'm able to just quickly call this person from my cell phone or my landline and log that activity. Fantastic. If I want to follow up, I should be able to just go like this and just say, hey, Greg, and preload my follow-up. You can do this, you know, in Excel with a couple of, you can do some research. There are tools out there that let you use it. You do have to piece them together, but, you know, better if you have a CRM investment or you have a database investment already. Have something that saves you all these steps, so you can, so that way you don't become one of, you know, that gross amount of people that don't follow up, which is, you know, adds up to about 80%. After giving up 2 follow-ups. So you want to do things like that that save you time, make you stay top of mind, uncover different things, but with very little time investment. We go back to the beginning of the presentation. About 19% of our time is spent researching and gathering data, and another 20% is with CRM management, updating and doing all the stuff, jumping around between systems. So you want to minimalize and simplify your workflow, so you're more likely to do it, stay on top of your prospecting, and generate more sales. So you don't have to use our platform to do that. We just build it in. You can do this with your own tools. You do have to do some research and things like that, but believe me, it's well worth the investment. So I'll just say this is a test, right? It preloaded my information here. So let's go back to Greg, and I'll go here, and I'll say this is a test. There we go. And I'll just say, hey, Greg, please disregard. And I'll go ahead and say send. It says active deal. If he doesn't respond, I want to follow up on Tuesday, move forward, and that's it. I can move on to my next thing. So you want to do things like that. Simplify your process. Try to aim for 80% of simplification. I know it's a hard task, but you can start at 10, 20. If you even improve it 5%, that's 5% of your time you're gonna get back to focus and be more efficient, touch more people, and generate more deals. So let's go through this. We just mentioned here's a screenshot on how we can call and do those things. You can do that. Just do a little bit of research with your existing tools. Winning the business. Very important. So if somebody calls you back that you reached out to or somebody is new or a referral, know that they're shopping. They're shopping. They're gonna call. They're focused right now and trying to find a solution. You're not the only person they're gonna call. They're gonna call you and other people. But the person statistically that follows up within 5 minutes has a greater chance of winning that business. So the other thing too is the odds of calling a prospect drop by 10 times in the first hour, meaning that if you wait an hour to call that person back, they're most likely not going to talk to you. If you call them within 5 minutes, you can get a hold of them, you can qualify them, and you can drop that. You can improve your chances of winning the business 21 times. Now, I'm going to skip the last bullet point here, and I want to go into voicemail. This is very important. There are two schools of thought, which is leaving voicemail or not leaving voicemail. I completely respect them. When I was in commercial real estate, I would always leave voicemail, and I was top 5 of the top 10 in my office. However, knowing what I know now, I have a distinct, different, very stark contrast on how I feel about it. So here's the data. Sales teams of 50 members or more spend about 1,200 hours a month leaving voicemail. That's a lot of time, especially knowing that 80% of calls go to voicemail and 90% of the calls are left, nobody calls you back. So if we go back to those numbers, we start realizing that you have to be very careful with voicemail. It's literally the thief of sales success. So 90% of voicemails are never returned. Keep in mind, 80% of calls, I make 10 calls, 8 of them are going to go to voicemail, right? I leave 8 voicemails, and I know that nobody's going to call me back because only 1 in 10 calls are returned. So should I leave a voicemail? Probably not. The other thing too is that notice that on average, it takes 7.5 minutes per call. That's with all of the research and all that stuff. So you want to streamline that so you can get the call volume down. We usually chop this in half here at our company. But that means you can only make 8 calls per hour. That means that if you make 8 calls per hour and you're leaving voicemail, that's not 1 out of 10. You're going to get no callbacks at all. So this is the math. And then once you look at this, then you look at the sales statistics. So only 2 out of 100 calls result in a sales appointment. So what we learned from the math and the research is, and what we've experienced, you can touch a lot more people and land more sales appointments by not leaving voicemail. You reduce your call time. You can usually, if you do all the simplification and streamlining like we showed you a little bit ago, whether you use Digsy AI or you build your own process, you're able to reduce at 7.5 minutes per call. Let's say you reduce it down to 5. Now you can make a lot more calls per hour. And what you're able to do is now, if you do leave a voicemail, you do that. But it's better to just keep on calling because you know 20% of your calls are somebody's going to pick up because 80% of the calls go to voicemail. So now you're going to be able to crush through a lot more calls by not leaving voicemail because you're not wasting time and generate more sales. And that's what actually our customers are showing. So if you're not into cold calling, somebody had asked me earlier, cold calling is dead. Cold calling is not dead. There's social, there's inbound marketing, there's a lot of stuff. To get inbound marketing up and running, it will take you years and an army of content writers. The best way to do sales is if you have customers or you have a big network, keep in touch with them, talk to them all the time, figure out a way to add value to them and get referrals. And then get referrals from business owners you know, etc., to get in there. But you have to combine that through doing your cold calling effectively, which means get referrals from those people, research those companies, reach out to them with a reason so that they can open up to you. Don't leave voicemail. Be very efficient. Be very ruthless and discriminating with your time because that's all you have. If you can only make 8 calls an hour and nobody's going to call you back, you got to make sure that you streamline this whole process to make money. That way, you can just do the same amount of calls in less time, and you can spend more time with your family or in your hobbies, or maybe just making more calls so you can make more money. Using social media sites and QA sites, forums, and referrals are great. We've talked about referrals, so I'm going to skip that. So choosing what platforms to find your dream client. Where's your dream client live? Are they CEOs? Do they? In what industry are they? Where do they spend their time? Do they spend their time on LinkedIn? Do they spend their time on LinkedIn groups and Facebook? go join those people, form the conversation. I'm a tech guy. Most of my clients aren't on social media. They're not. I mean, they're mostly salespeople and sales managers. They're busy. They're on LinkedIn. So I go there. Now, if I'm raising money or I'm looking for investors for my company, guess what? Those venture capitalists are really in tune with the tech market. They're on Twitter, so I'll go to Twitter. Then follow companies, look at news and things like that I want to do business with, create a reason to call or reach out to them via social media, etc. There's also things, and we have a couple of videos on our YouTube channel, so if you go to YouTube, look for the Digsy AI or the Digsy YouTube channel. We have free tutorials on there on how to use LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, Twitter, and different social media to instantly find people who are looking for commercial real estate, office space, etc., that you can reach out to there. So be sure to check that video out and engage with them on a personal level. Don't just ask for referrals or don't just message them. Just participate in the conversation. If there's a conversation that you know about, share your knowledge, do that, provide advice, give them kudos, like their messages, but engage with them, develop a relationship, because that's going to help you have that person reach out to you and welcome you to give them a call. Now that's a warm call. Ask for referrals. I cannot say it enough. We do this all the time. Referrals are 4 times more likely to do business with you. So that's very important. I want to leave you guys with my ultimate favorite quote whatsoever. And Henry David Thoreau wrote, "For every 1,000 hacking at the leaves of evil, there is one striking at the root." And what this means, I love this quote. It means that everybody's busy, but nobody is the right and the centered and focused, results-oriented, results-proven kind of busy. Most people are just calling the wrong prospects, not really thinking about their workflow. But nobody's simplifying it enough to say, okay, let's focus on really what matters. So I want to leave you with that. Every time you're doing something, be ruthless and say, is this really what matters? Does this keep my life simple, bring less work to me, and provide ultimate return on investment? And if the answer is no, you have a very big decision to make on that. So I'd like to answer any questions. By the way, I'm putting this in here so you can actually get Digsy AI. If you want to try it, you can get it for 60 days for free. So usually we get a 30-day trial. We're going to give you a 60-day trial. All you have to do is email salesteam@Digsy AI. And if for some reason you have any issues emailing that, you can email care, so C-A-R-E @Digsy AI. So with that being said, I'm going to exit out of the presentation, and I'm going to answer any questions we have here. So let me take a look here. All right. So somebody had asked me, Colin, I believe it was you. You mentioned, I heard cold calling's dead. Do you feel that warm calling, do you feel that we should be more warm calling? I think I answered that. The answer is yes, you should also cold call, but you can turn any cold call as a warm call like I showed you by doing the research and finding a reason to connect. Let me see here. What else do we have? Question. And this is, if I make a call through Digsy AI, what phone number will appear on the person's screen? Will it be a number I'm calling from? The answer is, if you tell Digsy AI you want to call from your cell phone number shows up on the other person's phone. If you're calling from your landline number shows for that. If you're calling from your cabin and you've added that number, your cabin telephone number shows up. So it makes it so that it's easy to use your existing devices, but at the same time have the other person pick up. All right. So another question is, I'm a manager in a sales team. Are you able to see how many calls were made by each of my associates? Very good question. So the answer is yes. So what we can do here is we can actually see in the admin metrics, we can see how many calls somebody has made, and we can see how many appointments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera here. So it's all collected in real time, so that you can, so that you don't have to worry about it. And we got Alexander Mitchell. Hi, Alexander. He says, I'm in commercial real estate at CBRE on the office side, doing tenant rep. I have found success calling 6 to 8 p.m. as you can typically navigate around the receptionist and get to the right contact. Curious on your thoughts and any data you have to see support to discredit the notion. Alex, you are doing things right, man. The research I just presented is golden. I might also suggest that you call between the times of 7 to 8 a.m. And if you want a copy of this presentation, just go ahead and email me. It's and just email sales team at Digsy AI, and they'll give you they'll get you my contact information. What type of Google News alert would you recommend or use? This is Colin Red. Colin, you're very active today, by the way. Love it. So the question here is, what type of Google News alert? I would set up Google News alerts for people who are, depending what you're selling, right? So let's say, for example, you sell something that's related to them growing in operations, like employees. Maybe you're an HR company. I would do a Google News alert for whenever they're hiring, they're doing key hires, they've acquired a company, anything that increases their size. So I hope that answers your question. Another question is, okay, so you added for a commercial real estate broker. Same things, so growing, things like that. Let me see what other questions we've got here. All right. What are some good CRM softwares? I'm still on Outlook, but I know there are better. Juve, you may want to try Digsy AI, and we can give you 2 months for free, and you can try it out. I think if you're using Outlook, it integrates natively with Outlook, so anything you do in Outlook, it's automatically in there, and vice versa. So I think it'll work for you very well for you, and it'll integrate with your cell phone and land on like I showed you. So that's definitely something you want to look at. Can we get to the 7 tips and tricks? Yeah, I think we did that, Ted. Let me see. Okay, Jeff, I assume Digsy AI is designed to work in conjunction with a CRM. What CRM do you recommend if you are working in commercial real estate? So Digsy AI can work in lieu of your CRM. What I can do is if you're in a big company that requires you to use Salesforce, a lot of people don't want to, it causes a lot of work for them, and just based on preference, some people just love Salesforce too. It's a great product. It can actually automate all of the reporting you have to do on Salesforce. So what Digsy AI can do is bring property data, your email, your calendar, your contacts, all that stuff into it. It basically layers them all on top, brings them onto one place. You can email and call from there, and then if you have a CRM you have to report to, then you can push it in there. But if you're doing cold calling and things in commercial real estate, Digsy AI will work for you. So Jeff, you may want to take a look at it. Go ahead and send us a thing. We'll give you 2 months for free to try it out. Another question's, in the spirit of having a reason to talk to my prospect, could you go over some ideas and excuses for a conversation? That's a very good question. One thing that is a good strategy is looking at news. For example, they've acquired another company. You know, you may want to talk to them what they're going to do with the real estate from the acquired company. Are they going to let it go? Kind of like what challenges. The question is not, hey, do you have any needs? The question's more like, hey, now that you've acquired the company, what are some of the challenges you're going to have with this big asset that you pay for, right? A lot of money goes into real estate. It's one of the largest expenses that a company has. So going around there. Another good way to do a warm call to somebody is to, here's a trick I use all the time. Let's say I'm targeting company A, and I have no reason to do that, and I'll just Google their competitor, and I'll go to company B, and I'll see that their competitor just had a big announcement, and then I'll go back to person A and see if they have any of that capability or any of that of whatever this new announcement you know, affects their business or whatever. I'll just reach out and just say, hey, you know what? I've been meaning to connect with you for a while. My name is John. I work JLL, or I work at, you know, Cushman, or I work here and there. I work with a lot of tenants, and you know, I actually just saw this news in your competitor. Not sure if it came across your desk. I just wanted to throw it out your way. You know, here you go. And then what you can do is you can follow up a week later and just say, hey, just wanted to see if I can just come by and introduce myself in person. And then you can do it in person or schedule a phone call and then try to do some discovery to see if they have any challenges currently or prospective challenges. A question by Baron Mason is, what time do you usually cold call at? 7 to 8. 9, we actually go into like 9 to like 10:30. That's usually a pretty good time. So 7, we have a lot of people on the East Coast too, so keep that in mind. So about 7 to like 9:30 or 10. Then we spend the rest of the time doing things that aren't sales related. And then we get back on the phone around 3:30 or 4 to about 6 p.m. Another question is, if I mass email using Digsy AI, will everybody see that it was a mass email? I don't understand the question, so maybe if you can provide me a little bit more information. Max Gladstone, how much is it? You get 2 months for free. Depending on the organization you're in, your company may already have a deal with us where they'll pay for it. If they don't, it's $65 per user per month. And that answers the question of pricing for Jody as well. So that's good. Another question is, if I have a team of brokers that I work with, can I use Digsy AI on my team? Yes, you can. So Digsy AI is collaborative. Wow, a lot of questions about Digsy AI. I was actually just hoping to share some information with you guys. Sorry. How much is Digsy AI without the trial? We just went over that. I'd like to add a trial on Digsy AI. Is there a credit card required? No, there's not a credit card required whatsoever. Just make sure that if you sign up, you let us know, because you're only going to get 30 days. Reach out to us and mention that you attended this webinar, and we'll go ahead and give you an extra free month. Another question is a mass email question. He was probably replying to BCC or blind carbon copy. Yeah, you can blind carbon copy people on a mass email if you want. I just feel sorry for the person that that will be receiving that 50 or 100 emails. Okay, so that does it. Any more questions at all? Let me know. I'll wrap this up. We'll be distributing a recording of this late next week. And if anybody wants a copy of the presentation, just make sure to email us, and we'll go ahead and get that over to you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for attending. Hopefully this helps you out. Would love to hear from you. So as you start using some of these things, please, please, please let me know. I would love to hear what you find, what's working for you, maybe some things that weren't presented here that you found work. Together we can actually really, really help each other move forward and close more deals. So let's be a team together, and thank you for your time, and go rock. Make some more money. Bye.